All right, y'all, got some breaking news here for you. Forgive me if I start sweating. I am hot as fuck out here. The feels like temperature is about 92 or 95, something like that. But huge news. So we just got word last night that Trump apparently was in favor of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell in his first term. As I'm sure you all know, Ghislaine Maxwell is Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woman. She was a partner in crime. She was directly involved in the sex trafficking, and Trump wanted to pardon her. Why? Because he felt like, I don't know, dog, she may release some dirt on me. I don't want that dirt to get out there, so maybe I should pardon her. Now, the people around him told him that was a bad idea, but now this really puts into perspective why. Remember when he was asked about her in the first term, and he said something very bizarre, like, all I have to say is I wish her well. Yeah, I wish her well. Saying I wish her well about somebody who was on trial for fucking sex trafficking. I mean, it's all laid out there right in front of you. This is why it's so maddening that, you know, now you have some people in the right-wing base like, bro, why wouldn't he release the Epstein files? This is crazy. Is something up there? It's like, you idiots, we had all the information you needed over 30 sexual assault allegations against the guy. Jeffrey Epstein said, I was his best friend for a decade. We have victims who've come out and said that Epstein and Trump played some sort of weird sexual assault game with them. We have descriptions of lurid pictures from Michael Wolff of Trump with a stain on his pants with girls of an uncertain age. He's in the files. It is so obvious. And this is just the cherry on top in that point. So we also have Bill O'Reilly was on News Nation, and he came out and said that Trump told him the Epstein files can't be released because they could, quote, destroy a lot of people. Yeah, dude, that's the point. We want to destroy the lives of people who were involved in child sex trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein was the CEO of Elite Sex Crimes Incorporated, and Ghislaine Maxwell was his right-hand woman, and the stuff they did is absolutely unforgivable and horrific, and they were running a blackmail operation for a foreign government. Yeah, it would destroy people. That's what we want to do. But the fact of the matter is, he knows he would be the person who would be destroyed, which is why he's saying that. We also have Alan Dershowitz came out. He did an interview, and he said, quote, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed to protect individuals. I know their names and why they're being suppressed, but I'm bound by confidentiality, so I can't disclose it. Files are being suppressed to protect them, and that's wrong. This guy, I believe he was one of the lawyers for Epstein. And he's coming out and saying, oh, yeah, of course, it's bullshit when they say, you know, there's no client list. We don't know anything else. I mean, this thing stinks to the high heavens, and it seems like everybody's on to that. The question is, how honest are you going to be with yourself, right? Are you going to try to spin it like Alex Jones and many of the other right-wingers and say, actually, it was the Democrats who destroyed the files, and that's why they can't release them. Trump is totally innocent. Are you going to do that? Or are you going to realize this stinks to the high heavens because Trump is in the Epstein files, and he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and there's so much dirt on him that, you know, we probably can't even wrap our minds around the extent of just how ugly it is. So there was also some big stuff happening yesterday, which was horrific. I don't know how many of you guys saw this on social media, but we have the ICE Gestapo was raiding a farm in Ventura County, California, and they were tear gassing the children of people they were deporting. You had these kids on the phone talking to their parents or trying to get in touch with their parents who were grabbed by the ICE Gestapo, and ICE started tear gassing them. They weren't doing anything. They weren't hurting anybody. ICE started tear gassing them. You also had probably the most pushback I've ever seen yet to the ICE Gestapo thugs because you had somebody driving an El Camino who tried to block the road from it was like a whole bunch of military trucks trying to go to this farm and all decked out in military gear, faces covered, you know, hardcore weapons and stuff. You had an El Camino try to block the road to prevent them from getting to the farm. You also had the ICE Gestapo thugs used helicopters and landed them at a farm, rounding up farm workers. There was also some incident involving a gun. I saw videos of people fighting back against the ICE Gestapo by throwing rocks at their SUVs as they were trying to leave. This shit is getting out of hand. And remember, Trump came out not that long ago multiple times and said, when it comes to the farm workers, when it comes to the hotel workers, we're going to do a little something to protect them. We got to look out for our farmers. And then immediately after he says that, within a week, you have countless more raids of farms going after farm workers, which tells me that Stephen Miller is really the one, with the reins. I mean, ultimately, the buck stops with Trump, but mentally, he's seemingly checked out. And Stephen Miller's like, yeah, we're not doing that. And so that's where you get these horrible pictures and these horrible videos. I mean, this is like quite literally an invasion of Los Angeles, an invasion of the United States of America by the California National Guard, by the Marines, which, by the way, they were involved in this ICE Gestapo raid. And so just horrible pictures, horrible videos coming out of that. We also have this terrible video where the ICE Gestapo thugs are rounding up people in a Walmart, roughing them up in a Walmart. They get into like a tussle trying to put the handcuffs on this guy. And of course, as you all know, their faces are always covered because they know that they are the ones that are breaking the law. ICE also tried to grab middle schoolers without their parents at baseball practice. And thankfully, the coach stepped in and was somehow able to block them. But ICE Gestapo thugs were trying to round up kids from a baseball practice. I mean, this shit is as low can be. We also just got word that one of the people who was already sent to Trump's alligator Alcatraz, which in all seriousness is alligator Auschwitz, one of the people that was sent there, we already know, not a criminal. So remember, they say, oh, this is for the worst of the worst. We're going to make sure we get the worst of the worst instead of the serial killers, the rapists. This is the stuff Trump says. We'll come to find out one of the first guys sent there was a man legally in the country. His only criminal history was an arrest warrant where he didn't know about it because it was just a paperwork issue. So I guess he missed one of his immigration forms, and that led to an arrest warrant, but no violent criminal history, no time in prison, no nothing. It's just he missed a form, and now he's rotting in alligator Auschwitz, which is basically a crime against humanity because it's literally a concentration camp right in front of our eyes in the middle of the Florida Everglades, surrounded by snakes, surrounded by alligators. It's a tent. We're in hurricane season. That thing could be wiped out. It's already flooded with one thunderstorm. Imagine if you have a Category 1 hurricane or Category 4 hurricane go through there. I mean, this thing is a disaster waiting to happen where hundreds or thousands of people will die. There's another horrific video of the ICE Gestapo handcuffing a 71-year-old grandmother. And, that really just speaks for itself. This is how low these people have gone. They're just harassing completely innocent people, arresting completely innocent people. As you all know, we know the exact percentage that are not criminals that they're rounding up. 92% of the people they're rounding up are not criminals. I need you to think about that. I need you to really wrap your mind around that. We also have an immigration expert has come out and verified that it's now confirmed that there's a bunch of people in ICE who've been told to stop investigating human traffickers, pedophiles, drug smugglers, and they've been moved to what everybody else is working on, which is raiding the Home Depots and the 7-Elevens and going after normal folks with no criminal history who are hard workers, who are just here doing their best. There is a little bit of silver lining or a little bit of good news I should point out here, and I hope this is a trend, but an ICE employee quit and said, quote, I had to make a moral decision. So hopefully this is the beginning of a trend where people who are serving this rogue fascist regime wake up. If you're in the military, I think you should resign. If you're in ICE, I think you should resign. If you're in DHS more generally, I think you should resign. And I think you should come out and tell the truth and tell everybody exactly what it's like. Because this is a criminal, gangster, fascist, thug regime. And so this person was a lawyer who worked for ICE, and he said, look, I can't do this anymore. I know that what we're doing here is not only illegal and unconstitutional, but I also know it's flat out wrong. We also got word that Mahmoud Khalil has filed a claim seeking $20 million from the federal government due to the treatment he received when he was arrested and detained. Remember, this is a guy who committed no crime whatsoever. He just was doing an anti-genocide protest, and because of that, he was smeared as like supporting Hamas or something. And so the Trump regime arrested him, locked him up for an extended period of time. It was only recently he was released, but he missed the birth of his child. Stop and think about that. Simply because he is an activist for Palestine. He is anti-genocide. Simply because of that. They, steal from this guy. I don't even know how long he was locked up. Months of his life, right? 6 months of his life, something like that. I mean, this is horrific. This is the most anti-free speech, anti-free protest, anti-First Amendment thing I've ever seen in my life. Wildly, wildly un-American, completely authoritarian and fascist. And so he deserves that $20 million. But get this, and I love this, he also came out and said, In lieu of the payment, quote, he would accept an official apology and an abandonment of the administration's unconstitutional policy. That is some real shit right there, man. That is some real shit. We also just got word that Kristi Noem, the head of DHS, waited 72 hours to approve FEMA's deployment for the flooding in central Texas. So if they did it sooner, maybe there would have been a chance to save those precious children who drowned in the flood. But she waited 72 hours to do it. Why? Because it cost more than $100,000. Now, at the same time, we have a situation where FEMA money is being redirected to fund the $600 million Alligator Auschwitz concentration camp. Which, by the way, that thing don't cost no $600 million. We're talking about a tent in the middle of a swamp, okay? So the question is, what does it actually cost? I don't know, maybe $100 million, $150 million. Where's the rest of that money going is another question here. Because on top of being evil, these people are also deeply, deeply corrupt. But take FEMA money, and remember, Trump's trying to abolish FEMA overall. If there's a natural disaster, you're on your own, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But take that FEMA money, send it to create a concentration camp as little girls drown in central Texas because Kristi Noem sat on her ass for 72 hours. These people, I'm telling you, man, we need new Nuremberg trials and we need to lock up all these people. You got to lock up Trump, got to lock up Stephen Miller, got to lock up Kristi Noem. This is one of the darkest periods in American history. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about what happened with Grok. As you all know, Grok started calling itself Mecha Hitler and went full Nazi. We covered that story on the show the other day. You could watch that segment if you'd like. But now we just learned something about Grok's new coding. And even though this was put forward as like, oh, Grok's just trying to dial down the wokeness or trying to be more neutral, it turns out that the update triggers a Google search for what Elon has said about any given topic. That's how Elon coded it. So in other words, I want this AI, which is nominally supposed to be hyper intelligent, to copy my dumbass and whatever my opinions happen to be on an issue. So that says a lot when Grok goes out there and immediately goes full Nazi, doesn't it? That if the programming is, well, what would Elon think about this? What would Elon say about this? And then immediately they go full Nazi, man, that says it all. I cannot imagine how monumentally idiotic you have to be to program an AI and turn it into a fucking Nazi within a day. I mean, it is, this guy, you want to talk about a fraud. You want to talk about a colossal liar. You want to talk about a criminal. It's Elon Musk, the guy who cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels, among many other things. So that is wild, bro. Grok is now just, it's programmed to copy whatever Elon thinks on an issue. And as you all know, Elon's a fucking moron. And so that turns Grok, this supposed to be super intelligent AI, into a total moron. So they better go back to that previous version of Grok. There's got to be some internal wrestling going on now at XAI, because there's no way. I mean, that's why the CEO of Twitter resigned, the CEO of X, Linda Yaccarino. She was like, all right, I've had enough. Your AI just went full Hitler. I'm done here. And you got to imagine there's some people behind the scenes trying to wrestle the control of this thing back from Elon, because Elon destroys everything he fucking touches. It's not even close. So that's a huge, huge scandal. How crazy is that? Imagine whatever, I somehow created an AI. It's like, yeah, just copy me on everything. It's like, what's the point of that? That's like having a chatbot that's just like you're talking to Elon Musk, the massive gaping asshole. Who wants to do that? You're not going to get real answers. You're not going to get the truth. What a fucking ego on this guy. Holy shit. All right, we also just learned that last month, World Liberty Financial, which is Trump's main crypto company, announced its biggest investment yet. It took $100 million from a UAE company called Aqua One Foundation. So this guy, Jacob Silverman, tried to, dig into this and figure out what was going on, and realized he couldn't find any evidence that Aqua One even existed. So this is, and I like what Adam Johnson says here. He lays it out nicely. He says, it's cool we set up an entire industry whose only reason for existing is bribing public officials, money laundering, fleecing the credulous, and selling unregulated securities. Oh, and they funnel money into Congress to guarantee a bailout when their scheme invariably implodes. That's exactly right. I do think it's fair to say, it is safe to say at this point, that Donald Trump is by far and away the most corrupt president we've ever had in the history of our country. In the history. It's all right there. It's all out in the open. It's all so brazen. It's all so clear. And I don't think people have truly grasped the damage that happens as a result of this, right? Selling out to the highest bidder everywhere, selling $100,000 watches, which are bought by foreign billionaires, so he does favors for those foreign billionaires. The whole crypto thing and his fucking scam meme coin is nothing but a grift, where, again, he's raising money from, I would say, credulous dupes, but they know what they're buying. They're buying access, and they're buying whatever policy they want. So it is the worst of the worst actors are able to buy the president and buy whatever policies they want because he's so deeply, deeply corrupt. So that story is absolutely horrendous. Get this, guys. We also have a story here where Trump stabbed veterans in the back yet again. Remember, Trump and Elon fired 83,000 veterans because of the Doge bullshit, on top of 250,000 government employees overall, destroying the lives of veterans. But ready for this? Navy Federal Credit Union will no longer have to refund $80 million to servicemen and women for illegally charging them overdraft fees on their accounts. So Trump's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau dismissed the case. In other words, U.S. service members got robbed. There was a shakedown by Navy Federal Credit Union. They got their money stolen from them. And Trump is saying, hey, I know that they're supposed to get that money returned. I'm killing that. They're not getting their money returned. Fuck them. I mean, at this point, what is there to say? The horror story never fucking ends. And these people's lives are impacted in a terrible way. I mean, it is literally signing up to scam our own service members right in front of our eyes. That's what we're witnessing. We also have, this is some good news here. So, as you all know, the Trump regime, they like to post goofy-ass memes and suck off the president. And, I mean, it's always been sort of disgusting and grotesque. But for a while, I think a lot of people viewed it as, like, ironic, that they're, like, ironically posting these things. Let me tell you something. It was never ironic. Trump was always a wannabe dictator. He was always dead serious when he compares himself to fucking Superman or Batman or makes himself jacked and something. Like, that, this is what it is, right? Like, he actually views himself like that. There's that clip of him saying, when Kim Jong-un walks into a room, all of his people stand at attention. I want my people to stand at attention. This is who he is, right? This is who he is. Deeply authoritarian, deeply fascist, wants to control everything. Okay, so the White House, I guess this was on Instagram, they posted a picture of Trump, which has him basically as Superman. It's almost like the cover of a movie with Superman being Trump with Trump's face on the body, right? So the White House posts that. And then if you go into the replies and you start reading, it is a bloodbath, dog, in a way that previously you wouldn't have seen. So just to give you a couple examples here, one person says, looks like he's flying away with the Epstein files. Another one says, the most childish administration that has ever existed. Another one just posted a picture of both Trump and Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. Another one says, cool poster, but where's the Epstein list? So this thing has really and truly broken through in a way, certainly online, that I don't think they were ready for, right? I mean, this is Trump scrambling and trying to protect himself and save his ass because he knows there's immense dirt on him, right? But this is what everybody sees through it. Usually when Trump lies, his people always go for it 100%. And everybody else is like, what the fuck? Now you see this thing where it truly is. The only people still rolling with what Trump's doing here is the cult. And as I always tell you guys, that cult is anywhere from 25% of the population to 33% of the population. But that is not that much compared to how much support he usually has on an issue, right? So in a sense, all the soft Trump support, man, is it fleeing him fast. All the independents or the apolitical people or the people who are like, I don't really follow this stuff, but I guess Trump, right? All those people, man, they are furious. If you are not a true Kool-Aid drinking fascist death cult member, you are furious over this. And that's what that's showing. That's what the replies are showing here. Now, I also should point out that we have some new Gallup polling that came out on the issue of immigration. Get this. Just 30% of Americans want immigration decreased. That number was 55% last year. 79% of Americans now think that immigration is good for the country. That's a record high. And when it comes to how many Americans want a path to citizenship for immigrants, 78%. Only 38% now say they want mass deportation. So we have a total reversal. And by the way, this is with the Democratic Party, their officials not saying dick. They're not even fighting on this. They're not even fighting on it. So the only reason people have now flipped completely on this is because they see the pictures and the videos and the horror stories of innocent people and their lives being destroyed. They see 288 innocent people being shipped to El Salvador to a concentration camp with no due process, no trial whatsoever, 90% of them totally innocent. They see Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They see all this stuff and they go, oh my God, This is just dark. This is just flat out evil, because it is. Because it is. All right, we also have, this is amazing. There's a video coming out of Brazil where Brazilians are now burning Trump in effigy. They're burning him in effigy, and they're also burning American flags as well. And the reason they're doing it is because they're protesting Trump's stupid trade war. He just slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil. And by the way, the reason he did it is because he's trying to protect Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro is, of course, the Trump of Brazil, right? This is the guy who tried to steal the election as well. The difference is Lula, who's the left-wing president of Brazil, and the Brazilian political system handled that appropriately, where they charged his ass and they kicked him out from being president. He's like banned for a certain period of time from running again. So they actually handled their coup plotters in a way that we didn't hear, right? They handled it appropriately. And now Trump is desperately trying to save Bolsonaro, and so he slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil. But here's the thing, it already backfired, because Brazil just made a deal with China, a 20-year trade deal with China. And so the more pressure we apply to them, the more they look elsewhere, the more they make trade deals with the rest of the world and look to China to be a global leader. So it's already backfiring massively. And yet again, he's overreaching. He's slapping new tariffs. He put a 35% tariff on Mexico again recently. We're back to the same shit we went through before, bro, where, stupid trade war nonsense based on how he's feeling on that day. Then the market's absolutely tanked. Then he backs out or changes the number a little bit and then raises it again. And I mean, this guy, we seriously need to 25th Amendment this motherfucker. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has seriously lost his fucking mind. We also have this incredible new chart that just came out. This is from Semaphore, and the data is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. And it's a chart that compares all the global currencies. And the U.S. dollar is doing worse than any of the other global currencies on this chart. It is incredible. So we are down 7.4% with the U.S. dollar. So I'm telling you, man, I'm warning you now, the world is eventually going to de-dollarize. And when the world does de-dollarize, when the dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, our country and our economy is barbecue chicken, dog. At that point, your debt and your deficits actually matter. And then I can't even wrap my mind around the immense pain that we're going to be feeling in this country when that day comes. And Trump is doing everything he can to try to make the world de-dollarize as soon as possible. All right, so also I wanted to point out here, I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you haven't, go on over to Twitter and pull it up. But the Lincoln Project, which is, like the Never Trump Republican group, I've had my issues with them in the past for sure. But the Lincoln Project released an ad here. It's 1 minute and 23 seconds. And the text they posted with it is, "One day, Alligator Auschwitz will be filled with the ones who built it." And the ad, if we got to keep it real here, they are spitting fire, dog. They're literally saying that it's okay, yeah, build your Alligator Auschwitz, because the day's going to come where we lock all you motherfuckers up in there. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, all these assholes, the masked Nazi ICE agents, you're all going to be in there. We're not going to forget this. We're going to remember it. You're the criminals, and you're going down. And so, people are making all these jokes like elected Democrats, quote, "You can't possibly expect me to take risks in mounting opposition. Guy who voted for Romney in 2012. Send Trump to fucking Alligator Auschwitz," right? So this is indicative of what I'm seeing, y'all. I'm seeing liberals and leftists get radicalized in the best possible sense of the word. But now, you're also seeing those Never Trump Republicans from the first term. They're now becoming lefties. They're going left. And it is a beautiful thing to see. And that's why I think this Democratic Tea Party wave is something that is just going to wash over the country like a tsunami. It really is. All right, so I also have here for you, this is wild. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this, but there is a billionaire narcissist asshole by the name of Bill Ackman. He's super annoying. He posts these long screeds. He's a total, fake enlightened centrist MAGA douchebag. And this guy somehow bought his way into a professional tennis tournament and proceeded to humiliate himself. He played doubles, and he proceeded to humiliate himself. And so actual professional tennis players like Andy Roddick, for example, on his podcast, he was furious. Pro tennis players, real pro tennis players are furious. The guy is 59 years old. The guy is like a mid-level club player. Andy Roddick was saying he was serving the ball 50 miles an hour in a professional tournament. That's unheard of. He has no business being out there. But this is indicative of the billionaires being completely and utterly out of control. This country is now a Make-A-Wish Foundation for billionaires. These people are high on their own supply. They think, the laws of physics and the laws that apply to the rest of us don't apply to them. So he buys his way in. And how did you expect this to go? What did you think you were going to freak it? By the way, they were saying that the people they were playing against were just like patting the ball back to him. They were not trying their hardest because they knew this thing would be over in 5 seconds if they actually played their hardest. So, it's so indicative of the problem with these billionaires. They really think they're the shit. They think they're God's gift to earth. Like, no, you're fucking idiots, and most of you are lucky. 60% of billionaires come from extreme wealth in the first place. This is not a meritocracy. You're an asshole who got lucky and stumbled on a lot of money, and now you think you're amazing, but you're not. So, Jesus Christ. This is so indicative of the problem in this country now. The billionaires are the problem. The fascists and the billionaires are the root of every fucking problem. The corruption and the fascists and the billionaires bring us situations like this. All right. Now, oh God, I don't even want to get into all the details of this because I could go on about this for like 2 hours, but I'll just give you the TLDR on it. So I'm sure you guys all know the YouTuber named Contrapoints. He does these video essays. She's part of what's called BreadTube, which is basically just like left-wing YouTube. And Contrapoints was getting a lot of pushback from her audience and her fans where they were telling her like, hey, kind of weird. There's been a genocide going on for like 2 years. You haven't done a video on that. Like, are you planning on doing a video on that? And Contrapoints didn't release a video on it, but clearly she was like feeling the pressure from her own supporters. And so she released this really long statement on Reddit. And look, the gist of the statement, I'll try to be as fair as I can in summing it up. But the gist of the statement is like, do I think it's a genocide? Yes. Is that bad? Yes. But, online lefties are kind of annoying, and I also see a rise in anti-Semitism happening, and anti-Semitism is bad. Therefore, I don't know what I would add to the conversation, and do you really even want to see me do a video on Gaza? You want to see me, like, pouring milk on Benjamin Netanyahu in a bathtub or something like that? And so the sense I get from it is like, yeah, it's bad, but I have nothing to say to it, and, both sides, bro. Like, my feelings kind of get hurt by lefties who are pro-Palestine, so I'm not really going to speak out on the genocide. And I don't know, man, that's chicken shit stuff. And it's a real shame because Contrapoints is super talented. She's very smart. I've enjoyed many of her videos. The production value and stuff is a little over the top for me. It's a little bit navel-gazy for me. It's not really my thing, but having said that, I've watched plenty of her stuff, and I really do enjoy it. I think we invited her on Crystal Kyle and Friends one time. We never heard back from her. But, this is like, it's solipsism, right? Like, this is so selfish and self-aggrandizing, and it all comes back to your feelings about how you stand in the political landscape. Like, nobody cares about your feelings, bro. There's a genocide going on. There is a genocide. The number, as of right now, is as high as 400,000 people that have been killed, at least 90% of which are innocent civilians. We're talking about schools being bombed, and hospitals being bombed, and children being sniped in the face, and UN buildings being attacked, and paramedics being attacked, and starving a population right in front of our eyes, and luring people to fake aid sites, and then killing them when they show up, and lacing whatever flour they do give out, lacing it with OxyContin to basically poison the population and make them passive. And it's an attempt at a total annihilation, and it's an attempt at ethnic cleansing. And so, if you don't think that's worthy of a video, and you don't think that's worthy of, like, that being the main point, I don't know, man. That's a you problem, right? I really don't care about how you feel about online lefties or how mean they are or whatever. I don't care about that. And it is very easy. I do it, and many others on the left do it, to say very straightforwardly, fuck Nick Fuentes, fuck the Nazis who are glomming onto this issue, but they don't actually have good politics. Fuck them forever with a spiky metal bat. And also, let's get back to the main topic at hand, which is genocide is bad and wrong and evil, and Netanyahu needs to be locked up forever, and Donald Trump needs to be locked up forever, and free Palestine, bitch. It's not that hard to say that. But I guess, whatever, her creative process is she doesn't feel inspired over that, which I look at that and I say, well, if you're not feeling inspired over that, I have to question your basic morality, right? Like, I'm sorry, you're really not that lefty if, and also there was this line in there about how, lefties are now not just anti-genocide, but they're also anti-Zionist. And it's like, yeah. Zionism, by definition, is an ethno-state. To say we want a state solely based on a Jewish identity, what that means is if you are not Jewish, you would, by definition, be a second-class citizen. or third-class citizen. That is like apartheid South Africa. We all look at apartheid South Africa and go, that's bad, that's wrong, ethno-states are evil, right? Why should anybody make an exception when it comes to Israel? Especially because the Zionist project, the end logic of the Zionist project, always leads us where we are, which is ethnic cleansing and genocide of the non-Jewish population, of the Arab population, of the Muslim population, of the Palestinian population. Ethno-states are bad, bro. Ethno-states are bad. There are no exceptions to that. They're just bad. That's the bottom line. And so, yeah, you should be anti-Zionist. And she also says something which I think is factually wrong, which is like, lefties are against anybody who wants a two-state solution, because a two-state solution would keep like a liberal Zionist state in place. And it's like, that's not even true. Somebody can be in favor of a two-state solution, but also demand that Israel in that two-state solution is a secular democracy, right? The idea that that's not, like, I'm sorry, but you can't say, I believe in secularism and I believe in democracy, but I also believe in an ethno-state. No. Secularism and democracy, by definition, are the opposite of an ethno-state. Like, you cannot believe in egalitarianism and democracy and also believe in an ethno-state. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And so there are plenty of people who support a one-state solution, for example, where it's equal rights for everybody in the region, right? That's one position a lot of lefties have. But there's also some lefties who believe in a two-state solution but want Israel to be a secular, democratic country, just not a Jewish supremacist state, not a Zionist ethno-state. That's not like, to act like that's, oh, the lefties are crazy. No, the lefties are the ones who are saying, hey, democracy is good, secularism is good, human rights are good, equality is good, egalitarianism is good. So I don't know. There's a big swing and a miss from Contrapoints is what I have to say there. All right, now, I believe we're close to the end here, guys. Bear with me. But, so I want to talk a little bit about Andrew Schulz. So Andrew Schulz on his podcast, him and his buddies, one of the things they talked about was Trump basically betraying everybody on the Epstein files and saying there's nothing to see there and we're not going to release it and all that stuff. And there is no client list and nobody was blackmailed and all that stuff. And basically he's like, sort of like, fuck you, like, you lied to us, you betrayed us, and we think you're, covering for pedophiles here. And that's one of the clips that I saw. Another clip I saw was Schulz coming out and saying, the real America First candidates are DSA candidates like Zoran, Bernie, and AOC, and he feels betrayed by Trump. He also says, I voted for none of this. Trump is doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Okay, now, here's the thing. But you did kind of vote for it, right? You did kind of vote for it. Because it's not like, there were people warning you every step of the way. You're looking at one of them that, hey, this guy is literally in the Epstein files. He's not going to release the Epstein list. I said that. Many other lefties said that. There was a bombshell story of Jeffrey Epstein on audio tape saying, I was Trump's best friend for a decade, that came out like a week before the election. You were warned. You didn't listen. Like Rogan was, I can't believe they're rounding up people at Home Depot, bro. Trump ran on mass deportations. They were holding signs at the RNC that said mass deportations now. Trump said, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, we got to get them out of here. That was about legal immigrants. Yes, they were always going to do this. Yes, and you were warned that they were going to do this. And so here's my frustration is that, look, when I look at Andrew Schulz, when I look at the podcast Brosphere, the reason why they're now changing their tune is because we've now hit the tipping point. And the vibes online are so thoroughly against Trump now that in order to stay relevant, in order to ride the crowd wave, they have to start doing this, right? Because now it's fun and it's edgy and it's outsidery and it's aggressive to be a liberal or a leftist. Now we are the ones making the fire memes, shamelessly and ruthlessly mocking people who still believe in this bullshit Trump nonsense. So, like, all the enjoyment, all the fun, all the vibes are now on the left, right? And so that's why when I look at a guy like him, I think you're really just a wave rider. You're really just a narrative humper. And you rode the Trump vibes before the election when those vibes were peaking, and now those vibes have shifted, so now you're trying to ride these waves as well. You're trying to ride these vibes as well. And so, color me skeptical. As I pointed out, so many of these people will say something critical of Trump one day and then within a week go right back to sucking him off on another issue and spend most of their time bashing lefties. And let me say this. To say positive things about DSA and Zoran and AOC, that's good. But do me a favor. The next time there's some Fox News bullshit scandal about how, oh, the DSA and these lefty candidates are way too pro-trans, bro, and they want to trans your kid, bro. Don't feed into that bullshit. Call it out for what it is. Total horseshit. Total class war horseshit. They're trying to distract you with fucking social issue stuff while the billionaires rob you blind. And the fact of the matter is, yes, we should make a case defending trans people. Because it starts with, what about the children? And then it becomes, like we saw in Texas, a situation where they try to ban anybody from being trans. They want to make it criminal fraud for you to change your driver's license if you're trans, okay? So, let's see if they stay true to this tune. But of course, as you all know, I'm deeply skeptical of these people for the simple reason that I think they're wave riders. Like, his job is, he's a comedian. His job is to be popular. His job is to be, like, tapped into the zeitgeist. And now what he's realizing, way too late, by the way, is that the zeitgeist shifted. Where were you when it was fucking difficult? You were sucking Trump's nuts and having him on your podcast and giving him a hand job, okay? That's where you were. And so, great. If you keep going down this path, fine. Then I'll give you credit where credit is due, and, you know, you could potentially become part of the solution and not part of the problem. But as of right now, all I want to hear from these people is, yeah, the lefties were right literally all along. All the warnings we got, you know, where were you when it was unpopular? Where were you when it was not that many voices like mine out there saying the shit that was true? No, you were all fucking riding the waves of, oh, look, he's triggering the libs. Oh, look at the pink-haired college kid, bro. So those are my feelings on that topic. And then finally here, I don't know if you guys saw this clip, but there was this Politico event, and you had some Democratic senators there, and the Politico reporter basically said, like, hey, what do you make of the idea floated by, like, Congressman Ro Khanna, for example, that Democrats should be the anti-war party and they need to become more anti-war? And it cuts to, what is it, Senator Jeanne Shaheen, I think it is. And she goes, no, he's wrong. So the reporter's like, hey, shouldn't you guys run on, like, being anti-war and, like, maybe argue for a more peaceful world? And she goes, no, he's wrong. We should be pro-war. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, all of those sorts of Democrats gotta go. Resign, get out of the party, go do something else, go pick up fishing, go pick up bocce ball, do some other shit with your time. We're not entertaining you anymore. We're not interested. How can you be this disconnected from the country and from your own base? Or maybe you are connected, but you don't care because maybe you take money from Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or whoever. But this is unforgivable. We have a fascist president who just launched an illegal and offensive strike on a country that didn't attack us, Iran. And by the way, Iran also wasn't building a nuke. And that's your response? No, we love war. Oh my God. Resign. Fucking resign, man. Incredible. So incredible. And then, finally, Emma Vigeland tweeted this I wanted to share with you. The Republican governor of Missouri just repealed a paid sick leave ballot measure that got almost 60% support and would have benefited 728,000 private sector workers. That is insane. So this is where you guys need to realize there literally is no such thing as right-wing populism. It doesn't exist. It's fake. They lie. Right-wing populists are just liars. They have the same anti-left, anti-social safety net ideology, pro-capitalist ideology. That was loud. And they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They pretend like, oh, I don't want to cut Medicaid like Josh Hawley, and then he votes to cut Medicaid. This is the same shit. Nearly 60% voted for paid sick leave in Missouri. And the Republican governor looks at it and goes, I disagree, and slaps it down. That fucking says it all, doesn't it? All right, guys, those are your updates. I am sweating bullets out here, but I hope all of you enjoy your weekend. We got Crystal Kyle and friends dropping in a little bit on the channel. We had Tommy Vietor from PodSave on. Jesus, I'm under attack. Jesus Christ. Go sign up on Substack for Crystal Kyle and friends so you can see the full Tommy Vietor podcast. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Peace.